this is a spot that we just planted. Did the same thing, late beans. This is the first time we've ever done late beans in it. We usually plant them early and they get big and they're great, and we never sit here because they go yellow before bow season, and then it would be a late season spot and we have other spots to hunt. So we're gonna try to mix it up a little bit this year and give it a chance to hunt it early. So we're planting beans quite late with the idea of them just being green and being chewed on until it frosts. We top seeded it over with tagged out. It's a horny buckseed blend, brassica blend. So we did like 50% of what we normally would seed rate for the beans, and about probably 50% for the tagged out. So our hope is that we get both the greens early and then the brassica mix for later. Got to hang on in that maple. That maple loses its leaves real early, so we are going to trim it out, but we're going to trim it out very, very lightly, because once those leaves come down, we won't have a lot of cover. I got a little volunteer over there, a popple that tipped over on the edge of the field, and we're going to use that as our licking stick. It's pretty fresh. The leaves are just starting to brown up on it. So I anchored this down. I'm going to cover it back up. This is one of those spots where I would do this because it's just such loose soil. So pretty solid. So now let's go grab that popple that was already laying there. We won't even have to cut one down. We'll just use this one that's blown over. For some reason it's laying down. And it's actually a pretty nice tree, real straight. Like, I look at this tree and I probably wouldn't cut one down this big because I'd look for something smaller. But as it's laying here, you get a good look how straight that is. The diameter is probably just about right in there. I'm gonna maybe try to get it in here. This is probably big, so I might, because it adds another foot, I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna bring it over, trim it down, and see how it does. If I have to, I'll whittle this down to get it in. But it's just real nice and straight, so kind of a nice looking tree for a licking stick. Cuts real nice and easy. So it's definitely going to need a lot of trimming, but it's still pretty green. I don't know. The other thing to notice is when we put this base plate in, we're on a pretty steep hill here. And so we dug in, scratched it out, and made it level before we put that base down. So let's see. It's probably a little bit bigger. Boy, not by much though. It just gets into the collar. It just gets tight on the spring itself. So I'm gonna see if I can't just whittle this a bit and not lose. Otherwise, I think if I cut it here, it would fit, but then I lose about a foot of it. So I'd rather have it to play with. See how fresh and green that popple is. I got to get it about 6 or 7 inches whittled so that I can get it into the spring. That's probably pretty darn close. There we go, down to the bottom. You do them long enough, you do enough of them, you just kind of get an eye for your size. Again, we're trying to match the diameter of a real licking stick in the wild. That's what the deer use. So I'm going to get rid of these bottom ones right off the bat. They're unneeded weight. That stands pretty good for how much there is. There's a lot to this tree. So these little guys, I probably could have left those. They're not much weight to them. It leans heavy that way. And so what I'm going to do now is, because the hill leans that way too, so the tree is heavy to that side, so I'm just going to loosen this up and rotate it and get it so that the heavy side faces uphill. It kind of helps to counterbalance. Tighten the thumb screws back up. It's a little better leaning that way. I probably could have went a little bit more with it. Maybe I will. There. Now it actually just about sits plumb. So the more you can get it set up to be level or stand vertical, the less trimming you probably have to do. Again, I think it's wasted above my head, so I'll take that off right off the bat, just because it's a lot of weight and it's on the top, so there's a lot of leverage there. Trim that. Boy, because it balances like that, I think I'm gonna leave it. If it didn't, I'd trim that off. I'm not afraid to trim most of it off, to be honest with you. But because it balances, and it seems to be standing pretty level, that's it. I just gotta grab some scent. We're gonna scent it up. Then we'll come back, we're gonna put a camera on it. We're gonna have to put our homemade sticks. We take 2x4s with just a pin for a concrete form, and we nail them to them, and then we can stick it anywhere we want. So we're gonna bring one of those, we're gonna bring camera, we're gonna aim it back. And that trail that we were talking about is right here. So it's not super easy to see in this tall grass, but you can see right through here. Those deer come through there, and if you walk up in there, you can see it's just beat to the ground. So they come out at about probably less than 15 yards from the stand. That's probably 20. So, but I can range that, and then I can have that distance in my head. So I like the look of that one. We'll get a camera on it, get it scented up, and we'll be good to go. Okay, cool.